If you want to continue to follow our adventure, click subscribe. So you don't miss anything, click the bell notification. I watched a video the other day where a YouTuber showed that there was a bunch of people staying at the long-term visitors area in the BLM in Arizona. What a long-term visitors area is you can pay to stay in the BLM. Well, with the government shutdown, there is nobody there to take the fee. And as a result, people are coming to stay in the long-term visitors area without paying. I guess there was a campsite host or a volunteer, somebody told them, you know, they had to go out and leave. They didn't have a permit. See, in these long-term visitors areas, they're pretty nice. They got water, and you can dump your tanks, and they got bathrooms, dumpsters. But I'm always amazed that people actually think that they can stretch the rules of whatever it is they're trying to do. And I see this all the time, and this is a perfect example. To me, if I were wanting to stay in the long-term visitors area, and I knew that I was supposed to pay money, which everybody knows this, and there was nobody there to collect the fee, my natural instinct would be to assume that I can't stay there. I heard somebody say once, there's two types of people. Those who would ask permission, and those who will ask for forgiveness. I'm the type that wants to ask for permission. And here's a perfect example. There's no way I would have went in there and just hoped to ask for forgiveness. I made a video a while back where this guy was parked in a city park. And some of these city parks have pavilions that you can run electric for, for your crock pots and different things in the pavilion. So they have electric, and it's really good for reunions and people who pay taxes in the area. And you go to the city hall, and I think you can schedule events there. You get the water and electric and the whole deal. Each city park is different. Well, this guy was telling me how he ran his extension cord from his camper to the electric to charge his batteries. And he kept arguing, well, it doesn't use as much as the crock pot. But here again, he was, in my opinion, stealing electric. I don't care how you look at it. I think he was stealing electric. It was not being used as intended. And if 10 other people would have seen him do it, and they all hooked up to the electric, now it's becoming a burden on taxpayers. And the thing that we have to understand is the people who are plugging into this electric aren't paying the taxes. And so, every time I see something like this, I want to make a video where I talk about and remind everybody we must learn to follow the rules. Because over time, more people who don't follow the rules will get these places shut down. I see it all the time on Facebook, especially the van groups. The van groups are the worst. They'll always ask the question, I'm at such and such campground. How much do they enforce the 2-week rule, the 2-week limit? I was at the campground in Florida. I had a pass that allowed me to stay there through the entire hunting season. I bet I was asked at least 30 times from different people, do they really come out that often? How often do they come out? Do they enforce the 2-week rule? It's regular. People don't want to abide by the 2-week rule, which begs the question, why are you living this lifestyle if your intentions are to just stay in an area? I'm okay if you want to pay, like in the long-term visitors area, to stay there for the winter. That makes sense. Just like I paid for my permit to stay in the Florida Apalachicola National Forest through the winter. That way you don't have to move around through the winter and try to find limited spots. So that makes sense. But if you're just doing it just because you don't want to move around all the time, you're violating the rules, and there's reasons there are rules in place. We see it right now in the national parks. With the government shutdown, people are going in there and they're damaging the ecosystem, riding their ATVs and tearing things up. Well, that's the whole point of the 2-week rule. Part of the reason is so people don't take up residency there, and the other reason is so we don't tear up the campgrounds. I know that when I park in a campground for 2 weeks, the entrance to my door, the grass to the entrance to the door starts to, lay flat. You can see the path that I normally take to the bathroom and those kind of things. Well, if you do that for longer than 2 weeks, you're going to actually start tearing the grass up and destroying the things that we are trying to protect in the national forest and the national parks. I made a video not that long ago where I talked about Prescott National Forest closing down a campground. And right before that, it was Oglesby's campground, BLM. I'm sorry, Oglesby's BLM. They're making restrictions over there on where you can camp. And every time I can make a video like this, where I said, okay, another campground's being shut down, I always get people who reply back, yeah, but it's a big national forest, so, you know, this little spot isn't going to make that big of a difference. Well, no, that little spot, I guess, isn't going to make that big of a difference. So we'll just all should ignore the rules, so they continue to just shut down little spots at a time, and eventually there won't be any place left. I really don't understand why the folks who want to ask for forgiveness are willing to lose the campground. Well, if I ask for forgiveness, they won't throw me in jail. No, but if enough people come around asking for forgiveness, the people who have to enforce the rules are going to be like, who gives it, you know, I don't want to do this anymore. Let's just shut it down. Then I don't have to worry about forgiving anybody. You know, that guy who went to the city park, I'm sure if he would have went and asked permission, I mean, why wouldn't you ask for permission? If you actually think that you're not doing anything wrong, then go to City Hall and say, look, I'd like to plug my camper into your outlet here at the pavilion to charge my batteries. I can bet you they would have said no, and I know that this fellow who says, I didn't do anything wrong, you know, it doesn't use any more of the crock pot, I truly do believe that he knew that if he went and asked for permission, they would have said no. But in the meantime, the city has to deal with this, and they have to say, well, wait a minute. If people just keep plugging into the pavilion, it's going to run up our costs, so shut it down, and nobody gets to enjoy it. Not even the people who want to pay or do whatever it was required or go to City Hall so they can have their family reunion at the city park. And so over time, more and more gets shut down, and then what happens is the people who think that that it's okay to ask for forgiveness, they'll be the first ones to complain that things got shut down. Well, our government can't do that. I have a constitutional right to that property. Well, you had a right to that property until you violated enough rules where they just enforced a different part of whatever constitution you're talking about. So thanks for watching. Like if you liked the video, and happy travels.